Hi everyone. So in this video, we are going to talk about Angular 10. So Angular 10 is the new version of Angular that got released on 25th of June 2020. So the previous version of Angular was 9.0 and that was released on February 7th, 2020. So it has been nearly 6 months, and after the period of 6 months, we are having Angular 10. So what are the major thing it contains? It has major changes on Angular material and Angular CLI changes. So what is the first feature that got added in Angular 10? So that is a TypeScript version 3.9 support. So previously, when Angular 9 was released, it was released with version of 3.7 support. So what exactly happens is that with each and every newer version of TypeScripts, the new features that TypeScript brings is provided to Angular people who are using that. So in Angular 9.1, TypeScript 3.8 got released, and the newest version of Angular, that is Angular 10, the TypeScript version of 3.9 got released. So what is the benefit of 3.9? It is having the performance improvements, which makes Angular build gets more faster, and mostly it is on the performance side, and there were few drawbacks or few errors which were there in TypeScript 3.8, which was fixed in Angular 10. So what we get in Angular 10, we get the latest version of TypeScript with all the bugs and all the features which were not supported by TypeScript is now supported with TypeScript 3.9. So it's like a magical world for Angular developers. So if we move ahead, the other change that came is TSConfig file.json. So what exactly happens is that there was a solution style that was introduced by TypeScript in version 3.9 to overcome issue that was related to tsconfig.json that existed in the previous version. So what exactly this change brought? This change helped people in IDE support. So if this one you can see, this is the previous tsconfig.json file, and a new file called tsconfig base JSON got introduced. So you are seeing that there are three extra configurations or two extra configurations that are added to this file. One is related to tsconfig lib.json and tsconfig spec.json. So it was mostly due to a solution style problem that was previously existing. So this is the change that happened. Now with new Angular thing, one more thing which got changed is the ESM5 or FESM5. So previously, if you check the version you are seeing, you are having ESM5 here and FESM5. But the newer generated file is not having support for them. So why this changes and how it helped, and what was the main cause for these changes? So that it does not get included at the rate Angular /star, means the package or the Angular which generates packages for you. Now being less files in the package makes the bundle size smaller and your application gets downloaded faster on the browser. So it is also done by keeping in mind the performance of new Angular 10 application. So Angular generates ES5 from ES 2015, and ES 2015 is the default language level that was consumed by Angular tooling. So now as we have removed that, so our package size got reduced and our performance of the application increased by removing or by changing these extra configurations which used to be in Angular 9. So if we move ahead with the browser list, so now Angular 10 will look for your browser list src file in your app in order to find which all browsers it need to support. So this is on, and when you do, so say that if you are presently working on Angular 9 or and so, and if you want to update to Angular 10, then I'll just do a demonstrate you how to move ahead and how to move from your Angular 9 project to Angular 10 project. And I'll show you on file structure also what all changes have been done. So basically browser list will only get supported by the name of browsers which are there in your browser list configuration file. So now one major change that happened from Angular material side is that the new date range picker has been introduced. So previously, if you have worked on Angular 9, Angular 8, or any of the previous versions of Angular, there the date range used to contain only the start date. You only had to give one date. And similarly, for your end date also, you need to select other material and you used to provide the other. So there used to be two different date range pickers, but from Angular 10 onwards, they have combined their end date and start date into a single component, and thus helping the developers who were having problem with the previous versions of Angular. So how you can get these things into, or how can you get the new what all things you need to import in order to get or generate this kind of configuration from Angular module. You need to have made date range input and made date range picker components available. I'll be demonstrating you that also. So now previously what used to happen was that there used to be, whenever there was a dependency that gets packaged with your CommonJS, it used to result in your slower applications. Because what used to happen was with the more dependency and those kind of stuffs, CommonJS would result in your slower application. But now what happens is that with Angular 10, it provides you warnings based on what is there in CommonJS. If it's increasing or there is any increase in the bundle size, because now Angular 10 more focus is on the performance improvement. If you have not seen my previous videos, I'll provide you the link at the top. There you can go and check what all changes have been done from Angular 6 to Angular 9. And once you're thorough with that, then if you come to Angular 10, then you'll clearly understand what each and every versions of Angular has brought. So mostly Angular focuses on the performance side. So smaller the bundle size, it will be more faster because your browser can download it more faster, and thus the performance of the application increases. So in worst scenario, if there is a bundle size that is more due to the unwanted dependencies, then it will give you a warning which was not there in previous versions. So now Angular has also introduced a very useful feature for the developers. So previously, up to Angular 9, if you go ahead, you had the command to create Angular project using Nginx. Nginx was basically an Angular CLI command for creating a new project. But with this strict mode, which is introduced in Angular 10, now there are many things or extra features which you get when your project gets created using the CLI. And what is the use of making a project in a strict mode is that its maintainability and catching bugs and performance optimizations are very nice. In this slide, I have just given you what all benefits you are getting after using your strict mode. So first is that after enabling your script mode in TypeScript, what happens is that there is many strictness flags which are recommended by TypeScript team specifically for force consistent casing in file names. So if any file name is having any casing problems, so those things will also get caught. If there is no implicit returns written in your file, then the build will not be successful. And if there is no fall through case in switch, means if you have not given a default scenario. Say that if you are having A scenario, you provide something. If you are having B, you go to this scenario. If you are having C, then you go to this scenario. But if there is no fallback through in case switch, then what will be there? There will be errors or your build will fail. Now turning on strict Angular compiler flag is what it helps in. It helps in getting the bundle size reduced by 75%. Any on the, if now previously we were using any in many places where we were not sure that which exact type we should give for a particular variable or constant. So now by working on your strict mode, you need to provide a type, else your build will fail or you won't be able to build your app. We were using empty when we were not having anything to return to an observable. But now if you are using empty in your cancel navigation term, it will not get resolved. So now what you need to do is that you need to use for emitting some value as of null or something like that. Now empty is not no more supported. If there is any unknown property bindings in template, then it used to be a warning for us in the previous versions, but now the best part is that it's not having any warning. It will show you as an error. So now if there is any unknown property binding that is existing between your HTML page and your TS file, so what it's going to do, it's going to provide, or if there is any unknown property, if it is finding, then it's going to give you as a error, not as a warning. So previously, if you go ahead with reactive forms, if you would have developed reactive forms, then in case of number type, that value change control used to happen, or it used to get fired twice. So it was impacting internally the performance because the two fires used to happen. So in this version, what they have done, they have changed this change event to input in order to fix this problem. Now minimum length and maximum length validator now is only previously we could have put minimum and maximum length with the string parameters as well, but now minimum and maximum length validators will only work with numerical length. Now moving ahead, there are some more things like if you go ahead with the date pipe. So if you're using format date or date type, at previously it just used to show you either it's an AM or PM, but in certain scenarios when there is light daylight saving or something like that, in worst scenarios it does not give you the proper messages based on that. So now what they have introduced is that if it's night, they will give you at night instead of AM. So so these things got changed in the Angular. Now with the new introduction of many new features into Angular 10, there are a few features which got deprecated and removed. So like what all things got removed. So the first thing is there used to be a module with providers. So previously what used to happen was that a module with providers used to work with type any, but now any type was deprecated and you need to provide a generic with module with providers. Now if you are going ahead with parent-child relationship, or if you are inheriting something from parent, in that scenario, you need to decorate your parent class with a decorator. Now, support for IE 9, 10, and IE mobile has been deprecated and will be dropped in 10.1 or certain version. So there will be no support for IE 9 and 10 and IE mobile. Why this? Why they have thought to remove IE 9 and IE 10? Because to reduce the bundle size and complexity which used to be there by supporting the previous versions of Internet Explorer. So the main reason for this was also that with the newer version of TypeScript which came into picture, in TypeScript also they have removed the support for the prior versions of Internet Explorer. So that was the reason that Angular also removed that. So in Angular, there was many sanitizing properties which you had to sanitize in mostly in your style. But those sanitizing property was there because it was supporting the very old versions of Internet Explorer like i6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these are considered to be little different browsers, and they were having many different style capabilities which required to sanitize in order to stop that from getting any kind of vulnerabilities from outside. So those things, as Angular is no more supporting i9, 10 and prior version, so there is no need of sanitizing any of the style properties. So that's all from my side with the new features that has